Falsification of history has done more to impede human development than any other thing known to mankind. And this is thoughts while thinking, and these opinions are mine. And the 14th Amendment Commerce Clause kind of does away with all of that. It gives all the power to the federal government. Think about it. The Ninth Amendment also included the fact that everything that wasn't written into the powers of the government would belong to the states and the people. Think about that, the Ninth Amendment. And then the 10th Amendment says the same thing, only it says that we got rights to go to the states. Everything that is not specifically stated in the Constitution that goes to the federal government goes to the states. And that's where we are. And, Justice Thomas says if Congress can regulate under the Commerce Clause, it can virtually regulate anything. The federal government is no longer limited or illuminated in powers. Think about it. It does away with all of the states' rights and citizens' rights. It gives it all to the government. The 10th Amendment is no longer there and effective, and it does not give the power to the states because the Commerce Clause takes it all away. Think about it. And, they've been trying to do away with and give the power to the federal government ever since the Constitution was put into effect, and they finally did it through the Civil War. And the war was not about the slaves, it was about the states and the states' rights. And the falsification of history has done a great thing because they turned the cause of the war from the states' rights to slavery. And slavery was not the issue. The issue was the states' rights. Now think about it. Now, the states' rights had a right to own slaves, but the southern states were all dismantling the slaves and freeing them at the time of the war. So think about why we had the war. It was about tariffs, and it was about the power of the federal government taking over from the states, and that's what the Civil War was fought about. And as a result of the Civil War, the federal rights just outweighed all of the states' rights, and we have no longer states' rights. We just have federal rights. And the Republicans and the Democrats have been chopping away with the first 10 amendments ever since the Bill of Rights, ever since it was created. Think about it. And that's where we are today. We don't have states' rights. We have federal rights. And we have that mixed up thing about don't mess with the Constitution and appeal the 14th Amendment. Well, I think the 14th Amendment needs to be appealed, but I don't know how to go about doing it. And the Bill of Rights is no longer exist. It's just there as something to talk about and play up every now and then when it's beneficial. And central bank is another issue that takes away from the states' rights. And Maryland opposed that, and they opposed it because they knew what was going to happen to it. And I appreciate you subscribing. And, it all boils down to they have that pretty words of due process. What is due process? Well, due process says that they can't do anything about taking your property or putting you in jail or anything without due process. But think about the power of the Congress. They can write any kind of bill and pass it and then take your property under that bill through due process. Now think about that. Due process in the Fifth Amendment and the 14th Amendment is kind of a big misnomer and not worth much anymore because it's all subject to the power of the federal government. Think about it. Appreciate you subscribing, and we move on. And the Bill of Rights is gone. We just don't have them anymore. We don't have the freedom that we had. We don't have states' rights. And we don't have anything about it. And the Supreme Court has supported the Commerce Clause in the 14th Amendment giving all the power to the federal government. Think about it. And the Commerce Clause covers just about everything. It was written to cover everything. And I'm thinking that's probably what the war was about, is getting that Commerce Clause in there to regulate the states. And now that we got the Freedom of Finance Act, and that's where they're going to get in and take your bank account away from you, and it's all done through due process. Think about the due process of the government and how fair it is. It's supposed to be fair and treated in the fundamental way the Constitution was intended. But that's been washed away with the states' rights. It went away with the states' rights. And the Congress, through the Supreme Court approving it in the 14th Amendment and the Commerce Clause, has all the power. It is a dictatorship out of Washington. They want to call it that. And they're saying to the states, your rights, just suck it up. You ain't got them anymore. And our Statue of Liberty is fundamentally vomiting over the 14th Amendment and the Commerce Clause because it does away with our liberty. Thank you for signing in, and I appreciate you watching. And this is Thoughts While Thinking, and it's adios amigos, and we'll see you on the flip side.